Ladies, we have been blaming emotionally unavailable men for the wrong thing for far too long. The real issue is not emotional avoidance and it's not being a dismissive person in a relationship. It's what happens in a relationship when emotional intelligence operates without containment. Your emotional intelligence, hate to tell you, is not helping the relationship. Stay with me, I'm going to explain that phrase. It's been quietly used against you, not by men, not by emotionally avoidant men, but by a relationship pattern that nobody is ever teaching us women to see. And once you get this, I feel like you're gonna be able to see it a little more clearly for yourself and move forward in your relationships. So, quick question. Have you ever been the one who understands first, softens first, you adjust, you manage, you initiate repair, you get the tools for repair, you read the books, you do all this work? That is emotional labor. And then you wonder why you feel invisible, you are exhausted, you feel quietly resentful of your partner. Like, who is caring for you? Why are you not rushing out to the bookstore to get the latest book on this, that, and the other? Why aren't you Googling how to split the mental load of the household? This is emotional over functioning. And it is robbing you of your vitality, your life force. So here's the unconscious agreement that many empathic women are living inside of. If I bring enough emotional safety, if I'm patient enough, loving enough, understanding, and I offer enough grace and space in my relationship, the relationship is going to give back to me. It's going to love me back. It's going to give me what I put in. And that makes sense when we say it logically, because emotional intelligence works everywhere else in your life. It has served you well. You have proof in your friendships and in your work and in your parenting even. Here's the thing, in romantic relationships, especially with men who simply have different emotional operating systems and different nervous system habits, giving does not always create reciprocity and mutuality. It creates reliance, it creates dependence, and the worst thing that it is going to create in your relationship with men, assumption. It is going to create assumption. Your partner is going to assume without any awareness that these gaps are covered because they don't even notice the gap. They don't feel it and they've never had to fix it, right? If you are jumping in with your emotional intelligence turned to emotional labor. Pause for a second. Can you notice your body? Because maybe something in you realized, and this resonated, that it's true. Where did it hit? Your heart, your chest, your gut, maybe your jaw clenched, right? Here's the part that most people get wrong. You're not exhausted because you're empathic. You are exhausted because you are functioning for two nervous systems, your partner's first, and then the metaphorical nervous system of the relationship or the partnership, the union of you two. And then after all of that, from a very depleted place, you are somehow supposed to notice your own nervous system and your own body and your own emotional needs and where you are at in the relationship after doing all of that work. Let that land. Rewind back and listen again if you're not quite sure what I'm saying here. Emotional over-functioning is not loving deeply. It is self-abandoning. It is not emotional intelligence. It is emotional labor. And it is not free. It is costing you. So emotional overfunctioning isn't loving. It is anticipating emotional needs before they're expressed. It's regulating the room so nobody else has to. Nobody notices the gaps. And it is absorbing discomfort so connection doesn't break and gaps are covered and things just continue moving along. You don't just feel, you now are feeling and managing, right? Slowly, subtly, your inner world is going to disappear the more that you are managing this emotional load. Your preferences begin to matter less. And in fact, you even start to lose connection with what your preferences are because you're not thinking of them first or second, maybe not even third if you have kids, and the list goes on, right? Slowly and subtly, your inner world really starts to feel kind of empty. You feel alienated. That's where resentment comes in. That's where exhaustion comes in. And your own emotional cup, pretty dry. It's not because you don't have emotional needs. It is because you've been disconnected from them. You're not speaking them and you're not feeling able to even speak them because you are managing so much outside of yourself. Be honest. When was the last time that you were emotionally held? without explaining, without guiding, without softening first, and without chasing that clarity, that comfort, that containment. When? Exactly. That's painful. This pattern is showing up with men because you feel these emotional gaps so quick. You sense the shutdown before it's named. You can fill the space so the relationship doesn't collapse or turn into chaos and conflict. And unintentionally, you become the emotional infrastructure, making for smoother relational travels. Your emotional intelligence becomes mere prosthetic, not a power. Prosthetics aren't appreciated. That's painful. Prosthetics are used, they are depended on, and when they stop working effectively because they have been strained and sprained for far too long, they are discarded. Here's the truth that really does sting. If a relationship is going to fall apart when you stop over-functioning, was it really truly a relationship that you had and that you want? It was emotional labor managing a situation and relational transactions, and they often were one-sided. Want to know the moment that you lose yourself in this, where you really feel that disconnect once you start looking back and connecting the dots? Because if you've watched this far, you might be wondering, how did this even happen now that you can see it differently and you can look back? You lose yourself the moment you prioritize this one question. How can I help this feel better right now? The other question that we are forgetting that is far more important is, how do I stay connected to myself and what I need right now? That is the fracture point, the breaking point, the fork in the road where we are either choosing something outside of ourselves and the relationship and our partner and everything else first, and we start losing that connection to ourselves. Self-connection requires tolerating some discomfort in relationships with our partners, letting things feel a little bit unclear and uncomfortable, and letting your partner take some steps towards you first in their own timing, their own pacing, their own way, their own understanding, and their own awareness. Their different nervous system operating, right? It's different than ours, right? And it may not be as fast as ours. Letting that happen. Here's the kicker. Empathic women are taught to remove discomfort. We do it like that, right? We don't want to stay inside of it. We know how to fix it. We can jump in. We can do this. I got this. Removing discomfort, though, also removes something really crucial for empaths and for all people, if we're honest: agency. Regaining agency doesn't mean that now all of a sudden you're really cold or you're blatantly rude or you start hacking people out of your life. Agency means that you start to notice without immediately fixing. You can care without carrying. You can be caring without compensating and self-abandoning. And you can stay present without rescuing, becoming the infrastructure to those gaps. Agency means that you stop volunteering your nervous system for the sake of someone else or for the sake of the relationship, and you start honoring it as well, maybe even first. Here's the wildest part. If attraction and respect rise, then you got a relationship. You got something to work with. If you start honoring your nervous system and you start practicing relationship from a place of inner agency and attraction and respect start to fade away, that's some information to consider. Is this a relationship that you want to maintain and continue? Because now you know what the cost of this hidden pattern is. Your empathy isn't the pattern, and it isn't the problem. Your empathy is what's being used against you to keep something going that maybe is costing you too much. So true emotional intelligence is perception plus self-containment. Without containment, empathy becomes self-erasure. So now ask, is this mine to hold? Am I reacting or am I regulating? What happens if I don't step in? Can my partner come forward to me a little bit as well? Let the answer unfold. You were never meant to be the emotional backbone of a relationships that survive only because you bleed. Your depth is not a resource for extraction. It is a standard for connection. And the moment that you stop emotionally overfunctioning, it is going to tell the truth of your relationship or the nature of your transactions. If this hits, stay with the work. If you want more, I have a clarity tool for emotional overfunctioning. You can get it in the description below or the link in my bio. So emotional intelligence, when it is used cleanly and when it doesn't slip into emotional labor, it gives you softness, but it gives you sovereignty. I'm Chrissy, the emotional intelligence nurse. If you found this helpful, leave a comment, question below, like and subscribe, follow for more. Let's keep it going.